Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Emike Osuma, your storyteller dedicated to serving you inspiration, bite-sized wisdom nuggets that help you stay on course with God's original design for your life. Thank you for tuning in again. If you're returning, if you are, I do not take that for granted at all because you're telling me you find value here and that means the world to me. If this is your first time here, thank you for coming on board. Remember to subscribe, remember to like, turn on the notification bell so that you are the first to know when videos drop here. Like they say, what is the use of jollof if it is not served, right? Jollof fulfills its ultimate purpose when it is tasted. So help me serve the content on this channel by subscribing, by sharing, by commenting and interacting with the resources you're going to be finding here as we journey on together. Thank you once again for joining, for tuning in today. So we'll be diving into today's video. Yeah, so on the 25th of October was my 14th wedding anniversary, and the next few videos I'm going to be putting up here are going to be centered around lessons that I have learned in the course of being married for 14 years, right? And you know what they say about when you have someone who has walked a road that you are yet to walk, they help to make your learning curve shorter. So I trust that these lessons are going to help you help you make your own learning curve shorter, and that you do not have to make mistakes that other people have made. So thank you once again for coming. We are diving into today's topic right away. So, 5 years ago, I wrote my first book, my first novel, and I launched it. So while I was preparing for the book launch, I had planned everything I was going to do. I had my budget. I knew how much everything was going to cost. So everything was going on fine until someone reached out to me and borrowed some money from me. And I think that was maybe like a few months before the book launch. So I was sure that okay, I had enough time. I could help this person out, and then get the money back when I needed it for the launch. But somehow he was not able to meet up with paying back. So my husband and I began to look around for another alternative. You know what it feels like when you have funds somewhere. You don't really feel like okay, you are not broke, right? You're not stranded. So there's a way it kind of tampers with your faith, right? And instead of praying like, oh God, make a way for me, you just have this feeling of, well, I know I have money out there. And instead of like totally relying on God, you just find yourself trying to get a plan B because you know you have money that it's coming, right? So I reached out to different people. I tried to get this money. Somehow we did not get it. And then my husband decided to reach out to a family member of his to find out that if he could get this money. Now before I continue, I forgot to add this part. One of the things I did on my anniversary last week was to put out fun fact about us. And one of the things I shared there was that my husband is a defender of his wife. But I'd like to add that he doesn't go about fighting people. He doesn't fight people. But he just has a way of standing up for me when it is clear that this is oppression, or like we say in Nigerian parlance, this is pure bad belly, or you just want to hurt me. You're being disrespectful. Um, he stands up for me and he remembers to put in a word to that person that tells you for all time that, yeah, you don't mess with this girl. So I am grateful to God for that. So I know that that is his stance. He does not he values me, he protects me, he is a cover for me. Okay. But then I think I mentioned on that particular slide when I was sharing on my anniversary that there is a difference between supporting your wife, loving her, defending her as you should, and patting her on the back and endorsing bad behavior when she's out of line. Those are two different things. So this video is going to shed light on the differences, and I'm going to be using a real life scenario I had. So that's why I started talking about the book launch and everything. So back to what I was saying about borrowing money. So my husband reached out to this family member of his and asked for the money, and he was like, oh, he didn't have the money at that time. I think later on he came back and was like, okay, I'm going to see what I can do, right? So we kept waiting, but the clock was ticking. Things had to be done, and the money was not there. So somehow I tried one more person that I knew, and this person was able to give us the fund. So I took my phone and I sent a message to this relative to say, oh, I was able to raise the money for my book launch. Thank you for your help. You don't have to bother with it anymore. And he sent me a message back and he's very upset. Now, I don't remember the exact words, right? It's been a long time. This is like 5 years ago. I don't remember everything he said word for word. But what he was just saying basically was that I had no business getting involved in the conversation. That I had no business sending him that kind of message, that he never started talking about the money with me. So when I got the message, ah, I felt hurt. I was like, why would he say this? Why would he react like this? And knowing my husband's stance, that he always defends and fights for me, I went to my husband and I took my phone and I showed him, look at what this person did. Look at what he said. Da da da. And now I went on and on whining that, why would you talk like that? What did I do wrong? And my husband looked at me like, oh, did you actually send the message to him? I said, yes, I did. He said, no, you were wrong. And I was like, no, I'm not wrong. I refused to see, I didn't see why he felt I was wrong at that time, because I was like, okay, this money was for my project. So you were getting the money on my behalf for my cost. So what's wrong with me getting in the mix and saying, oh, I got the money. Thank you for your help. We will not need the money anymore. My husband was like, no, it is wrong. And I stayed for a while. I remember where I was. He was actually working in his home office, and I sat down on the floor. And I was trying to cry and whine and do, throw those tantrums that it's not right, it's not good, it's not nice. But my husband was just calm and he was doing what he was doing. He kept insisting. He said no, it was not okay. And by the time I was done, I stood up, I left there. So when I left there, like they say, a person when they cry, they see road. When I was done with all that initial reaction, I took a step back and I realized that, oh, this thing was not really looking good. I really did not start this conversation with him. I should not get in the mix. That was not all right. That was one. And the other part was that, considering us, the kind of relationship I have with this person, we are not chummy bodies. There's a kind of closeness you share with someone that, gives you that right to just show up in their DM, send them messages, so you're just free to talk. We didn't really have that kind of rapport. So why did I even do that? So he may have read it differently, right? He may not have received it with my intentions. He may have read it and it sounded like, keep your money to yourself. We sorted ourselves out. We did it without you. I really don't know how it sounded to him, but I began to see that it may have sounded that way. And I was like, no, this was not okay. This was not right. Okay. Yeah, before you think that this person is maybe you are thinking, you're a wicked person. No, eventually he reached out again to ask me, so what else do you need? What else do you need for your book launch? How can I help? Do you get? So he balanced that up. But I took that lesson after the bass blows, he came back and he said that. But I took the lesson there, and it stayed with me because I was able to realize that my husband is a logical lover. He's not an irrational husband. He's not an irrational supporter of his wife. He was able to stand his ground and make me see that, girl, I love you, I support you, I always defend you. But when you are out of order, no, I will not pat you on the back. I'm going to tell you that this was not okay. And that stayed with me. So I like to say this to someone watching. Maybe you're not married yet, you're a young guy, even you're a young lady, you're not married yet, or you just got married, and you just have this mindset that everything I do, no matter what it is, my husband should support me. The Bible says the two shall become one. And you go on preaching your sermon that only sponsors your selfishness, and that's not going to serve you. That will not serve you. I would like you to listen and pay close attention and realize that there will be times where you may not get it right all the time. Open your heart and let your husband point you in the right direction. And then for the men, always ask yourself this: what my wife has done, be logical. Has she really erred? Has she hurt someone? Has she stepped out of line? If she has, we are not even saying go correct her in the family meeting. We're not saying shred her to pieces. We're not saying drag her in the mud. We are just saying know that love is corrective too, right? That there's also discipline. Discipline, I didn't say bitter, I didn't say bitter. Please, we stand for no domestic violence, okay? So what we are saying is that rational enough to know that when she errs, you can correct her. That you cannot just keep ticking everything she does in the name of I love my wife, I should defend her. No. That way, if you continue like that, always patting her on the back for everything she does, you will be closing um doors of opportunities that she could have in the future with your family members and maybe with people around her, with neighbors, with colleagues at work. Because if she keeps doing that and you never tell her the truth and tell her, oh, this thing is not right, you are going to be missing out on opportunity of having beautiful relationships with people out there. Today, I have a better relationship with my in-laws, right? Because my husband was able to stand and draw that line early. So I'm able to know that you can't go and look for trouble outside and bring it home and expect your husband to go fight for you. He will not do it. Okay. So I hope that this is a lesson that somebody is learning. It may look very minute, but trust me, it can destroy families. I've seen that tear families apart. I've seen that become family feud. I've seen that like just morph into something really, really ugly, something that could have been avoided. So while loving your wife, know the difference. Remember that even God who loves us, the Bible says, him whom the Father loves, he chastises. So love has its corrective part, okay? So while going on and on with the mantra of, oh, I love my wife, I stand up for her, remember that in standing for her even when she is wrong, you are destroying something that could have been a beautiful relationship between your wife and your family, and also between your family, yourself, and her family, right? So, because she could also err on her family side. And instead of telling her, hey, you didn't treat your mom right, you go back and apologize to her and you stand down like, oh, you did that well, she deserves it. No, that would be wrong. You are also ruining the beautiful chances you could have had with bonding properly with her family, right? So I hope that this has helped somebody. I hope you've learned something from this. I am looking forward to my next video in this marriage lessons series. Remember to subscribe, to like, to comment, and share this video. Till I come your way again, keep choosing love, life, and peace. Have a beautiful day ahead of you.